Okay, continuing from where we left off, we returned the extension, this dot return extension URL. So we're gonna say if true extension. Okay, let's just echo out the URL to see if we have any errors so far. Echo URL. Okay, so let's copy this method here. We're going to call this method outside the class. So first of all, let's create an object of this download class. So we're going to say obj equals to new download. Okay, so that's our object of this download class. So we're going to say if is set the URL underscore post URL. Let's just create a variable URL. We're gonna say URL equals to underscore post URL. Okay, this is just to keep it nice and clean. Okay, so let's just call this, let's open and close tags below the form, and let's just say, just to keep it clean, if is set URL, let's call the method which is on the inside of the download class, call it download file URL. Okay, let's just put this up here. So let's go ahead and test it. This should echo out the URL. Let's go over to our page right here, refresh the page. Let's copy the URL. Enter gibberish, nothing happens. But if we enter the URL to the image, we echo out the URL onto the page. Okay, so it works so far. So let's go back to our download file method. Okay, so this is where we're going to use cURL to actually download the file. So we're going to initialize our cURL session by creating a handler ch, and we're going to say that's equal to the function cURL init. Okay, now we're going to set an option. This is an option. Our first option is going to be set cURL set opt, and our first argument is going to be the handler, and then we're going to enter a constant which is going to be cURL, the option cURL opt URL, and our third argument is going to be the URL, which is going to be here. Okay, now unlike our previous tutorial, we're going to add another option onto this, and this is going to be the cURL opt return transfer option. So we're going to say cURL set option, pass the handler. So we're going to say cURL opt return transfer, and we're going to set that to true. Okay, this return transfer option says that if we set it to true, then the data, the image or the file is not going to be returned into the browser. However, if we set it to false, the file is going to be returned into the browser. So we don't want to return into the browser, so we set it to true. Okay, and then we execute the session and return the file into a variable. We're going to say return equals cURL, execute the handler, execute the session, and pass the handler to the cURL ec function, and we're gonna say close. We're gonna close the session. cURL close. That's the handler as well. Okay. Now let's look at this in the browser to demonstrate the new option we entered of cURL opt return transfer equals to true. Let's say we set this to false. Okay, let's see what's going to happen in our browser. So we grab the URL to the image, we enter it into our browser, and watch what happens. The image is returned into our browser, but we don't want this to happen. Let's go back to it. We don't want this to happen, so we need to set cURL return transfer opt return transfer to true, so that it does not return it into the browser. So let's get the URL again. It does not return it into the browser, however it's going to return it into this return variable right here, and we close the session. Now it's in the return variable. Now we need to download it to our downloads folder. So let's create a path to our downloads folders, and the destination equals downloads slash, let's give it download slash, let's give it a name of the same thing, file, and file dot our extension. So whatever extension of the URL we enter into our form, that is the extension that's going to be added to the end of the destination path. Now we could create a random variable to set instead of file, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So let's after we create the destination folder, let's open this folder. So we're going to say file. This is going to open. We're going to use the f open, which is going to open and open the stream. So we're going to say f open destination okay, and our second argument is going to be, we're going to open it to read and write. So we're going to say w plus to read and write. Okay, so our file is opened. Now we're going to put the contents of our return into our file. So we're going to say f puts okay into our file the contents, which is going to be returned, right here, the return contents. So we're going to say f puts into our file return. Okay, and then we're going to close the file. So we're going to say f close. We're going to, since f close is a boolean, we will say if f close file, then we're going to say echo file downloaded. Okay, so let's run it to see how it works out. So we go over to our URL. Let's go over to our folder as well. As you can see, there is nothing in our folder on our local host. So we grab the URL to the image, refresh, let's enter some gibberish, nothing happens. But if we enter the URL to our image, it's processing, and it says file downloaded. We go over to our folder, downloads, and as you can see, the file has been downloaded into our folder. Okay, and we could do the same as well for the URL, the page that's on the test folder on downdrops, data.php. You copy the URL, We enter the URL, processes, file downloaded, and we go over to our folder, and as you can see here, the file has been downloaded as well. Okay, so this is a tutorial using PHP cURL to download files from the web. Okay, so thank you for watching this tutorial, and do stay tuned for other tutorials. Thank you.